Zimbabwe went to the polls in August 2023. The air was thick with anticipation. Hope for change hung in the balance. But as the ballots were cast and counted, a familiar shadow fell over the nation. Accusations of irregularities and violence began to surface. Opposition parties cried foul, alleging voter intimidation. The media, often a mouthpiece for the ruling party, came under scrutiny for biased coverage. The incumbent, President Emerson Mnangagwa, claimed victory. However, the victory felt hollow to many. The opposition, led by Nelson Chamisa, disputed the results. They called for a rerun, demanding international oversight. The nation stood divided, the legitimacy of the election result hanging by a thread. Zimbabwe, once again, found itself staring down the barrel of political uncertainty. The Southern African Development Community, or SADC, observed the Zimbabwean elections with a keen eye. Tasked with upholding democratic principles in the region, SADC's role was crucial. Their verdict carried weight. The SADC observer mission, headed by former Zambian Vice President Nevers Mumba, delivered a scathing report. The report didn't mince words. It pointed to significant flaws in the electoral process. Voter intimidation, they argued, had marred the fairness of the vote. Media bias had skewed the playing field. Transparency, a cornerstone of democratic elections, was sorely lacking. The report sent shockwaves through the region. SADC's findings put Mnangagwa's victory into question. It also threw down a gauntlet, challenging the regional body to take a stand against the erosion of democracy. President Mnangagwa found himself in a difficult position. As the newly re-elected leader of Zimbabwe, he sought regional legitimacy. He wanted SADC's stamp of approval. However, the damning observer mission report threw a wrench into his plans. The report, if left unchallenged, threatened to undermine his authority on the regional stage. Mnangagwa, no stranger to political maneuvering, attempted to leverage his influence within SADC. He sought to persuade the regional body to soften its stance. He argued that the irregularities were minor and didn't affect the overall outcome. But SADC stood firm. The observer mission report remained unchanged. Mnangagwa's attempts to influence the regional body had hit a roadblock. The SADC report stood as a stark reminder that even regional powerhouses couldn't escape scrutiny when it came to democratic processes. Section 4. Hichilema's Stand, a diplomatic dance. Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema refused to stay silent. A champion of democracy, Hichilema was deeply troubled by the reports emanating from Zimbabwe. He saw the SADC Observer Mission report as a call to action. Hichilema's vocal criticism of the Zimbabwean elections surprised many. It was a bold move, a departure from the diplomatic dance that often characterized relations between African leaders. His stance drew the ire of the Zimbabwean government. Diplomatic relations between the two countries, once cordial, began to fray. Accusations flew back and forth, further straining the relationship. Hichilema's actions, however, resonated with pro-democracy activists across the region. His willingness to speak truth to power, even at the risk of diplomatic fallout, set a powerful example. Section 5. The SADC verdict, a ripple effect. SADC's decision to stand by its observer mission report had far-reaching consequences. It sent a clear message. The regional body was not afraid to hold its members accountable, even in the face of political pressure. The report cast a long shadow over Mnangagwa's presidency. It tarnished his image on the international stage and raised questions about his legitimacy. The international community, already wary of Zimbabwe's human rights record, took note. SADC's stance also had implications for the future of regional politics. It signaled a potential shift in the regional power dynamics. It suggested that the old rules of impunity might be fading. The verdict, while controversial, injected a much-needed dose of accountability into the regional political landscape. Section 6. Zimbabwe's uncertain future. As the dust settled, Zimbabwe found itself at a crossroads. The disputed election and the SADC report had exposed deep divisions within the country and the region. The path ahead remained uncertain. Would the Mnangagwa government heed the calls for reform and dialogue? Would SADC's stance translate into concrete action to address the root causes of the political crisis? The future of Zimbabwe, a nation yearning for democracy and stability, hung in the balance. The world watched. hoping that this time the promise of a brighter future wouldn't slip away.